Pac-22 Pinewood Derby Build Day. This is the day that the Pac-22 Cub Scouts build their Pinewood races for the races that are coming up a little bit later. And one of the organizers of this event is Bill Glover, toolman extraordinaire. And Bill, how long has this day been going on?
This day has been going on, as far as I know, it's for the last 15 years now we've been working on this. All volunteers, all Cub Scout leaders, and a lot of skilled craftsmen here to help the Scout go. Today, obviously, is our day. When the Scouts come in, if they don't already have their Pinewood Derby box, they will get one here over at the concession stand.
Let's hold this up just a little bit higher so people can see it. There we go.
So this is what they will get today, and they will start the day off right around 12:30 when we get started.
Okay, and what's the first thing they're going to do once they come in and have their box and everything else?
The first thing they're going to do, they're going to go over to our design table. Our design table is set up so where they have patterns they can choose themselves, or they can design it themselves. So at that point, they will design it and head over to the cutting table.
Okay, why don't we go over and take a look at the design table and see how this actually works out?
Sure.
Okay, here we are at the design station. Now, when they come here, what do they do?
Right. First thing they want to do after they open their box, okay, they're going to grab a design if they just choose so themselves. And we have several design patterns that they can choose. If they choose not to use these, we encourage them to go ahead and design their car themselves if they want to. At this point here, they will go and cut this design out, okay, trace that on the car. At this point, head over to the cutting table if they desire to. If not, they will cut their car here using coping saws, files, and sandpaper, and things of that nature.
And a little bit later on, we'll see some of the designs that you have done over the years.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, some of these cars are really spectacular. Some of them are a little illegal.
Sure they are.
But it was all great fun.
It's all in good fun, and it brings a nice display, and the kids actually love this display, and it actually gives them an opportunity to look at other designs besides the patterns that we've bought.
Okay, over to the cutting station. Noisy over here because we've got at least three bandsaws cutting out cars over there. So the boys do the designs over there, then they come over here and these guys?
Absolutely. Obviously, being as young as they are and safety-wise, we don't allow the boys to cut them out themselves on the bandsaws. Like we had said earlier, if they would choose to cut it themselves with coping saws and file and stuff like that, by all means. But here we get them a chance to watch how we cut them, watch how we sand them, and watch how we drill them. So there are actually 3 stations going on here at once. Not only do we have 3 bandsaws, we have 3 belt sanders, and we also have 2 drill presses as well, which will be used later in the process.
Okay, so let's take a look and see how they're doing there now, because they've already got a line. And then we're going to go next to the...
After it gets cut and sanded here, it would go over to the weight station to have their weights added. From there, we'll go from there.
Okay, we're going to take a look at a little bit of this, and we'll see you over at the weight station. Well, this is the weigh station, but before we get in there, I just wanted to show you folks a coping saw. So in case some of you who didn't know what it was thought it was electric or something with big teeth.
Coping saws are one of the most popular tools we have in Scouts. We start using them right when they're a tiger, all the way up to until they're weebles too. But once they get into Boy Scouts, then they're not allowed to start using electrical tools and things of that nature. But that's one of the most popular tools that we have as far as cutting goes in the Cub Scout world.
I didn't know there was such a thing as a coping saw till I got into junior high school.
Okay.
So that's when wood shop happened back in those days.
Sure.
Okay, now this is the weigh station. What happens here?
This is the weigh station. After the car gets cut and after the car gets sanded, what we do is we bring it over to the weight station. The BSA allows us to have up to 5 ounces on every car. It doesn't mean you can't go under that weight, but we want to go as high as 5 ounces and try to get close to that as possible. So they'll bring their car over here and put their car, their wheels, and their axles on the scale, and we'll add weights to the scale until it gets close to 5 ounces. At that point, they know that they're at the legal limit, and they will bring it over to the drill station and get the car drilled, and they'll add their weights, and then they'll come back here and get the weights glued into place.
Well, the weights is very important because this is a game of gravity and inertia, isn't it?
It most certainly is. Between where to put the weights and the graphite that you apply is very secretive in a lot of Scouts. So a lot of times Scouts will be walking around and they'll be cuffing their car. This cuffed for a reason, because they don't want to see where anybody's putting their weights.
Well, any more than 5 ounces, it tends to bog down rather than going faster.
It could. And to keep everyone legal, before any race, all cars get weighed and inspected before every race. And that will happen, obviously, in February when we have our race. Before they're allowed to take their car home. And this is the reason why we re-weigh them before they race come in February.
Okay, what is the next station after the weights? Over to the drill presses?
Over to the drill presses.
Okay, we'll see you over at the drill presses. the drill station. Now, what is the purpose of the drill station?
Right. The drill station actually drills holes in the derby car, preferably on the bottom of the derby car, to add the weights. Most people prefer the weights at a certain point on the derby car, where we give them a chance to actually we drill holes into the derby car so we can add the weights.
And we don't want to put them on top of the wood underneath because it'll bind up on the track.
Exactly. There's a certain clearance that they have to abide by on the bottom of the car. So obviously the weights can't stick out too far on the bottom. They can't go too high on the top as well, because it won't fit underneath the finish line on the track.
So that's important to know. There are rules in this Pinewood Derby that have to be observed because it evens the playing field out for everybody.
Absolutely. This is why we give them a chance to put the weights where they want, so they have competitivity of where the cars, where the weights go. We just want to make sure that they're legal, and this is why we inspect them at the end, of course.
Okay. Next, after the drilling station.
After the drilling station, we actually go back over and glue the weights into the car.
Hot glue in the summertime, or wintertime as the case may be. We'll see you over there. Look who I found. It's Pack Master and voice of the Pinewood Derby for Pack 22, Rob Preskins. Rob, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. This is my wife and I were figuring out this is my 6th year being Cub Master, and so my 6th Pinewood Derby. My workshop, my favorite part. I love the workshop, and we have a huge line. It's great. Kids are coming down and they can make their car here. It's great for mums and dads or uncles that don't know much about woodworking. So we bring it all here, and it's a wonderful, fabulous event.
And are we going to be hearing your dulcet tones announcing the races when the time comes?
Unfortunately, yes, I will be the one. You'll have to listen to my voice for this year and next year, and then that's it. I'm gone. But yeah, 2 more races. I'm looking forward to it.
And that means you're going to have to start training your replacement for this track announcing.
Yeah, I have somebody in mind. I won't mention any names, but we have a gentleman that says he'll be stepping into my shoes when I leave in 2020.
2020. Are your shoes going to be big enough to take his feet, or are his feet going to walk right out of your shoes? Or
I don't know. I don't. You know what? Every Cub Master kind of becomes the pack becomes their own. You know, so it's just a different generation. You know, kind of the same, kind of not.
Well, I was kind of speaking physically of your shoes.
Oh, yeah, no, you want to get my shoes.
Okay, Rob, it's been good to talk to you.
Thank you so
We'll
much.
see you on race day.
Axel, looking forward to it. Take care. Bye.
Here at the glue station, this is where the washers get glued into the cars.
Sure. If it isn't washers, we have steel weights as well. So what happens is after it gets cut, after it gets weighed, and after the holes are drilled, it comes over here and the weights get installed into the car. I can show you a typical spot here, and this is a secretive spot where the weights are get done. As you can see here, this is where the weights get applied to the car. It's very secretive on where these weights go.
And this is the tool that it gets done with. It's a hot glue gun. They sit here, you just got that nice little glue stick sticking out the back and they'll trigger to put the dabs of glue in there. And how well does that glue hold those weights in there?
It'll hold it forever. Absolutely, we've never had any issues at all. The only issues we ever have is when they try to apply something to the top of the car. And that's when it usually gets knocked off or something like that. But if you have something inside here, just like you see here, it'll stay there forever.
Okay, after they finish with the weights, next is?
The next is just a choice. You can either put your wheels on or paint your car. We prefer you to paint your car first before you apply the wheels, because if you put the wheels on now, you'll end up painting the wheels.
And that's not necessarily a good thing.
Not necessarily. So we prefer you to go and paint the car and then come back and do the wheels.
Okay, I guess paint station is our next stop. This is the paint station, and this is where you can already see there are some kids behind us who are trying to paint designs on their cars.
Sure. The design is entirely up to the Scout. Some kids like making it very colorful, some just like a simple line going down the top of the car. It doesn't really matter to us. What matters is it dries fast enough in order to get the wheels on and get them a chance to race the car. And that's all up to the Scouts, whether or not how much thick of paint they put on it.
And some of them will do this at home too, because you get some really fancy designs coming in sometimes.
Sure, you don't necessarily have to paint your car here. You don't necessarily have to build your car here. We just give the opportunity for all Scouts to come down here, siblings and parents, to build a car because we have the skilled, experienced people here to do so. But after the paint station here, we head over to the wheel station.
And one of the other things is I have never seen two designs come out the same on these cars.
Absolutely not.
Okay, next, it's wheel assembly. Now this is where the wheels come on. And there's a special way you have of doing that that's probably better than just trying to hammer them in by hand.
Absolutely. Putting the weights or putting the wheels on are very important, especially you need to get the wheels on straight. And it's very difficult for young scouts to make sure they're driving the nail in straight. It's very important. If you get it wrong, you'll end up ruining the block and having to start all over again. All right, so there is a special tool that we have. We call it a jig. And what we have is basically what it is right here, and it enables the scouts to actually put their car on here and not damage the axle. So it helps them a lot, and we found it's a neat tool, and it's very inexpensive.
And if you don't use it, and you've got the wheels right on one side, when you flip it over, you've got the real possibility of doing damage to the side that's already happened.
Absolutely, and it happens all the time. That's one of the reasons why we strongly suggest that all scouts use these. We have 10 of them available here today, and if they're trying to do it on their own, we suggest that they wait and stand in line and use one of these.
Okay, what comes after putting the wheels on?
After the wheels, it's up to you. You want to go get a snack and relax a little bit. Takes about an hour, maybe an hour and a half to do what we talked about, or you can head right over to the racetrack and start racing your car.
And that's what it's all about, is racing those cars. Let's see if there's anybody over at the track. Well, Bill, this has been quite a day. A lot of scouts come in here building their cars, and you've got some really crazy-looking cars and some really neat-looking cars.
Sure.
They're all very individual.
Right, exactly. Yeah, this day is definitely one of the funnest days that we have here at PAC 22. It involves everyone to get together, siblings, parents, what have you. And it's just a fun day. And I suggest anyone to come down and see what we do and possibly join the pack.
Okay, can you give us some contact information as to how they get a hold of somebody in the pack?
Okay. One of the easiest things to do is just come to the Spellman Center on a Thursday. Come here and talk to one of the leaders that are at the lead desk. All right, and that's one of the easiest ones. You can go onto our website, that'll be PAC 22 Whitman, and you can get some information there on contacts and things in that nature.
And behind us, we have a collection of, well, not all beautiful, some of them are really crazy looking, Pinewood Derby cars that you have built over the years.
Yes, I mean, I've been doing this for going on 12 years now. I've been involved with PAC 22, so I've had a lot of opportunity to be involved in building a lot of cars and having a big workshop myself. I have the opportunity to build all kinds of crazy stuff. The kids love looking at them. I've raced most of them. A lot of them are just for show.
They're not all legal, but they're all very interesting. Thanks a lot, Bill, for giving us the tour.
Thank you.